All right, let's get right into it. We've all seen Shark Tank, right? The intense lights, those investors staring you down, and entrepreneurs just putting everything on the line. But have you ever really stopped to wonder what separates a deal from a total disaster? Well, today, we're going to crack the code on why a whopping 90% of pitches get shot down, and more importantly, how you can land in that winning 10%.
I want you to picture this for a second. You walk onto that Shark Tank set. You feel good. Your product, it's a game changer. You nail your pitch, and then just crickets. One by one, you hear, "I'm out." And in just a couple of minutes, your dream is, well, it's dead on the floor. What on earth just happened? It's the entrepreneur's ultimate nightmare. And believe me, it happens all the time.
You know, to really get the pressure cooker environment of that room, you have to understand the sheer scale of the competition. Every single season, Shark Tank gets more than 40,000 applications. Think about that. That's basically a stadium packed with people who all think they have the next big thing. The odds are just insane before you even think about stepping in front of the sharks.
And this funnel, wow, it just lays out the brutal, honest truth. You start with those 40,000 plus applications. From there, only about 150 even get a chance to pitch on camera. Out of those, maybe 65 get that exciting handshake deal you see on TV. But here's the kicker. After all the lawyers and accountants do their thing, the due diligence, only around 45 of those deals actually go through. So the real question is, what separates those final 45 from the other 39,955? Well, it turns out most of the failed pitches aren't just bad luck. They're actually super predictable. Time and time again, entrepreneurs make the same fatal mistakes. So we're going to break down the 3 most common and honestly the most deadly pitch sins that will get you an instant "I'm out."
Okay, this is probably the biggest one, so listen up. Deadly sin number 1. Entrepreneurs are obsessed with their product, but the sharks, they're investing in a business. You might be so excited about your special patented technology or your amazing new features, but all the sharks hear is, okay, that's nice, but how do you actually make money? What's your customer acquisition cost? What are your margins? What's the lifetime value of a customer? They aren't buying your cool gadget, they're buying a path to making a profit.
And that leads us straight into deadly sin number 2, which so often comes down to what I call the moment of death. A shark leans in, they look you right in the eye, and they ask a simple question, just like this one. Your answer to this, it changes everything.
Oh man, you can feel the difference, can't you? On the left, you've got that fumbling, hesitant answer that basically screams, "I'm just playing entrepreneur." But on the right, that's a confident, precise answer that says, "I run a real business and you can absolutely trust me with your money." When you don't know your numbers cold, you're not just showing you're unprepared, you're telling them you are a bad investment. Period.
And the result of not knowing your numbers is always, and I mean always, the same. It is the fastest, most surefire way to hear those 2 little words. The conversation just ends right then and there. Game over.
So, this brings us to our third and final deadly sin, the completely insane valuation. You know you've seen this happen. An entrepreneur walks in, asks for a $2 million valuation for a company that sold like $30,000 worth of stuff in its entire lifetime. The gap between what they think they're worth and what the business has actually done it's just out of this world.
Look, a valuation isn't based on how many sleepless nights you've had or how big you feel the company could be someday. It has to be grounded in reality. A solid, defensible valuation is built on hard data, your actual current revenue, your proven rate of growth, and what other similar companies or comps are worth. Anything else is just a fantasy, and sharks do not invest in fantasies.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about what gets a pitch killed, but what makes a shark lean in and say yes? It's not just about dodging the mistakes. There are 3 key pillars they are actively looking for in every single deal they consider.
First and foremost, you have to remember they're investing in you. A business can change direction. A product can be totally redesigned. But the founder, that's the one constant. They want to see someone with real grit, someone who's been knocked down and gotten back up. They want someone who knows their industry inside and out, who is coachable and actually listens, and who is just going to outwork everybody. They're betting on the jockey, not just the horse.
Next up, they're looking for a business that has a moat. So what in the world is a moat? It's a simple idea, but it's incredibly powerful. It's some kind of unique, defensible advantage that stops a giant competitor, like an Amazon, from just swooping in and crushing you overnight.
And it's so important to understand what a moat is and what it isn't. Having better customer service or being first, that's not a real moat. Those things can be copied in a heartbeat. A real moat is something tough to get around, like a patent on your technology, a powerful brand that people truly love and trust, or strong network effects, where your product actually gets more valuable as more people use it. Without a real moat, your business is just a sitting duck.
And finally, the sharks need to know why them. Why do you need a shark specifically? They're successful operators, they're not just walking ATMs. If all you need is some cash to run Facebook ads, a bank can give you a loan for that. But if you need Lori Grainer's connections to get into every store in the country, or Damon John's genius for building a global brand, now you're not just asking for money, you're asking for a strategic partner. And that is a pitch they want to hear.
So how do you put all of this together into one package? I mean, avoiding the deadly sins and having the 3 pillars is crucial, but you have to deliver it in a way that actually works. So let's look at the winning formula.
This is basically the blueprint. You get about 60 seconds to make your first impression count. You start with a powerful hook to grab their attention in the first 10 seconds. Then you clearly lay out the problem you're solving. You present your product as the obvious, elegant solution. Then, and this part is so important, you hit them with your traction, sales figures, user numbers, hard proof that people want what you're selling. And finally, you make your ask. It's got to be concise, compelling, and cover everything they need to know to get interested.
At the end of the day, it really all comes down to this one question. This is the fundamental difference between the 90% who fail and the 10% who get a deal. A product is just an invention. A business is a system that can grow, that can make a profit, and that can defend itself in the marketplace. The sharks know the difference, and now, so do you.